I got to admit, man, Rockets go down 3-1. I love how you're laughing. Here's Golden State's tweet. 3 down, 1 to go. Hashtag Dub Nation. Whoop, whoop. You got Jimmy Butler and old Dolphin Teeth Buddy Hield. They wanted to show you that they have some new weaponry now. It's not all Steph and Draymond, even though it is all Steph and Draymond. I'm not going to lie, bro. I told you from the beginning.
Yep, get the excuses out now. Go ahead, come on.
What the Rockets meant to me.
Yeah.
I told you I thought this team could make it to the finals. I thought it could be Rockets Celtics. Ime against his old team. Mm-hmm. Then as the seeding started taking shape towards the end of the regular season, I saw teams like Memphis as a possibility. I told you, easy work.
Yeah.
Light. I think I said light work.
Yeah.
Clippers. And what you tried to tell me, it's going to be a tough series. I said, nah, it's easy, bro.
You did.
Warm-up set, I believe I used.
Yep.
But then it started to look like the Warriors could be that matchup against my Rockets. And I told you then.
You did. I looked at it this morning. I had to go back and check and see what you said. You did tell me then. Go ahead.
I was losing sleep over that one. Yeah. And I said I want no parts of Stephon, Wardell, Curry. And I'll be damned if that's who they didn't get. My eyes have seen it now. I've seen the light.
I mean, here's the thing, though.
I'm off the rocket ship.
It's
You're
over.
What? I'm off.
You're
Let
what?
me off. Stop the rocket. Stop it. What is this? What's Elon's Jones? SpaceX?
SpaceX.
Stop the rocket. Put me back on Earth.
Oh, man.
Put me back on Earth. You remember Boys in the Hood day when he said, "Dope boy, pull over. Stop the car."
Yeah.
What you mean, Trey? Let me out, bro. Get me off the rocket ship.
I tried to help you.
I know.
I was extending the hand.
I know.
You know what I mean? I was out there like the Sistine Chapel. I was reaching out to you. Travis, don't go. Come here.
I swear, if you Photoshop this in post, we fighting. I promise you. If you got you know how they touch them. Bro.
Hey,
we fighting, bro.
I tried to tell you. But look, before I even move on to Rockets Warriors.
What do you mean move on? We're there.
Before I say what I have to say about Rockets Warriors, I told you the Timberwolves were a problem. We'll talk about them in a second. Yeah. I told you that the Clippers were a tough out. You see what they're doing to the MVP. But they should be up 3-1 too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, the 3 teams that you told me not to worry, 2 of the 3 teams that you told me not to worry about are making some noise in the playoffs. And I tried to tell you then. You should have known. You should have known.
Yeah, but
no. No. Let me have my moment.
This is rude. This is just plain rude. Don't make no sense.
Next time you want to make a bet, and I tell you that team, a team that you think is going to the finals, and I tell you that team is going to get bounced in the first round, just make the bet with me. I want the free money. I want the free money. Whatever you spent on that, I could have, used for a very nice dinner.
30-1 too, bro.
I could have just used on a nice little outing by myself, a nice little
30-1 odds.
I would have been happy to take your money.
It had to be Rockets Celtics in the finals. 30-1, I bet it. When did I bet that, bro? That was like March.
Yeah.
February.
Yeah, it was like February.
All right, listen, those other teams you brought up, let me just slow you down for a second before you start bragging about all these teams. This is the greatness of Steph, because as Steph gets older, he is carrying an old Draymond, an old Jimmy Butler, an old Buddy Hield. Like, he's carrying these guys, right? Yeah. I had an epiphany. That team's going to the finals. The Celtics will have a chance to get revenge on the Warriors in the finals.
Whoa, so that's who you're rolling with?
Yeah, you know why? Because you brought up all these other teams, right? Okay. Jokic, we don't trust the cast around him.
We're not,
right?
Thunder?
It's not a him problem.
Thunder? Sweet.
But we don't try. I'm not talking about them. Okay. I'm talking about aging stars.
All right.
Jokic, we don't trust the supporting cast. LeBron looks old, although for spurts, for moments, he looks superhuman like he always has.
Right.
But it's not consistent anymore. Luka looks out. He's tired at the end of games. When have we heard this before? He looks worn out to me. He looks fatigued.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Clippers. Kawhi and Harden are playing well, but no one really trusts them.
Yeah.
I look around and I'm like, man, like Steph is the only. KD didn't even make it, by the way. Kevin Durant, I don't want to leave him out of this. He didn't even make it.
Yeah.
I look at what Steph's doing as he gets older, and I'm like, it's his time again, bro. I just don't think he's going to win this finals.
I don't think he's.
I think they're getting there.
I don't even think he's going to get there. But this isn't about him right now. This is about this Rockets team. And look, I told you at the deadline. I said you got Jaden Springer and Cody Zeller. I won't do the voice. I won't do all. But I told you then. I said, hey, help this team find consistent scoring. You need shooting.
You did.
Shooting 40% one night and then going to 20 and all this other stuff. I said trust in Fred VanVleet to be the leader of your team.
Yeah,
not relying on Reed Shepherd early on in the season and building him up as a player.
Said all these things.
Is going to come back to haunt you, and you're going to get bounced in the first round. I said that all year. You're going to get bounced in the first round. You're going to get bounced in the first round. And you laughed at me when they were the 2 seed.
I know.
And I laughed at you when they had a 7-game losing streak.
This isn't the Rockets' fault, Tay. This is Steph Curry.
Yes,
it is.
And I'm not going to accept it. And the only reason that I'm not going to accept it is because I told you to be afraid of the claw and the beard. I told you to be afraid of them. You see how well they're playing in the playoffs right now, especially Kawhi.
Yeah.
I told you to fear Anthony Edwards. I told you that Julius Randle was going to have a better performance than he's had in his recent playoff series. Now, we'll get to them in a second, but I told you that these teams were legit.
You did, man.
And I told you that the Rockets weren't. And then guess what? At the end of the day, that's what it came down to. Now, on to Wardell and his team. You can't forget Jimmy, because I also remember telling you that Jimmy Butler, while the $60 million, I didn't like. I gave this trade a B plus because I don't think they should be paying them $60 million over the next 2 seasons.
Right.
But I was like, for this year and for this team, and it will work. It will work. He'll be fine with Draymond. It'll be great with Steph. This will be a good Batman and Robin situation. I don't see them contending for a championship.
Okay.
But I see them being a better team than how we viewed them before the trade.
Yeah.
And so after they made the trade, Jimmy did what he did and, whatever.
Right.
But now we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they have opportunity
He's
to
making
beat
winning
a 2
plays
seed.
too.
And he's been closing out games.
Yeah.
He's found his joy. This has been a great trade for them. Once again, I don't think this team has enough bullets in the chamber to be a team that makes it to the finals. I don't agree with you there, but I think that they are going to make it through this round. Now, whether they have to face the team that we're going to talk about next, which team they have to face based off of the teams that we're going to talk about next is going to dictate whether they can make it to the Western Conference Finals. But, I do foresee this team as a good team. And them just winning a series, especially as a 7th seed, they should be clapping and tipping their hats.
Well, let's talk about that next team next, because I'm convinced it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Lakers are finished. They're cooked. Uno mas for the Timberwolves. Like, honest to God, I watching Game 4 was so eye-opening to me because LeBron made superhuman plays.
Yeah.
Luka was playing great, and it just didn't matter. I mean, this Anthony bleeping Edwards kid, this dude is such a throwback in his mentality. He only knows attack. He kind of reminds me of a little bit who had this kind of mentality in their prime.
Who?
But he didn't have the scoring ability. And it's Russell Westbrook. Like, I remember thinking Russell Westbrook had the killer instinct and that dog, but he didn't have the tools.
He didn't have the tools, but
Anthony
you were right
Edwards
about the dog.
has tools.
Yeah.
And the dog.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think he's telling LeBron, it's my time now. Okay, you're cooked.
Yeah.
It's over. And there's nothing LeBron can do about it. And again, from what I watched in that game, LeBron is still amazing. What he was doing on the defensive and offensive end in that game, especially in the clutch, was fantastic. But I continue. I'm not going to go as far as to say Nico was right and the Mavericks were right. But Luka gets tired, and he disappears at the end of games. And they are asking LeBron to, go back to prime Bron at the end of these games, and he can only do it in moments.
Right.
And meanwhile, Anthony Edwards is ripping your heart out of your chest and telling you about it over and over again. This series is over. Now, I don't believe the Timberwolves can beat the Warriors because I think at some point the supporting cast has to be better for Anthony Edwards. But right now, in this foxhole they're in, he is taking it to LeBron and Luka and telling them to their face that I'm taking it to you and I'm taking your lunch money. And there's nothing they can do. The series is over.
And he's taking the league by storm.
Yeah,
like
bro.
He's claiming face of the league.
Yes,
you
he
know
is.
what I mean?
Yes,
Because
he
you have to
is.
also remember, going back to last year, you're talking about taking over the GOATs and, you know, these huge players that he's been battling against. He went and swept KD last year. Swept KD last year.
And talked to him the whole time.
Right. And took his crown. Then went and beat the MVP last year in 7 against the Nuggets.
That's right.
Which no one believed that he could do at the time.
Yep.
So, and then he went and lost to the Mavericks, right?
Yes.
They lost in 5.
Yes.
Guess what? Gets another opportunity to play against their star, Luka Dončić, this year. And what is he doing to them now? Up 3-1, taking their hearts, fighting with LeBron, pushing him around. And got LeBron looking around like, yo, what's going on? Yeah, he's bringing the action straight to you, straight to your face, all malice, no friends. I don't care. I love this about Anthony Edwards. He's got to be, honestly, if I had an MVP for the playoffs, it's got to be him right now.
Yeah, right now. Right now, I would think so. I mean, look, I agree with everything you said. I just don't. Do you believe in the Timberwolves? Like, I don't. I think because you laid out last season how they went on a deep run. That team was better.
Yeah.
This team's not as good as last season.
They fit better. And, you know, Mike Conley was a year younger. That helped them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Having Cat for the floor spacing, even though Julius Randle has been playing a lot better than he did in his first 2 playoff stints with the Knicks. You know, now here with the Timberwolves, he's been playing a lot better, so you have to give him credit for that too. And then Jaden McDaniels has been lights out in the series, offensive end and defensive end. So, you know, you have to give him credit as well. But also, while I'm giving those guys credit, it is also a testament to how bad defensively this Lakers team is.
Luka won't play it. They have no rim protector. I remember when the trade happened, you and I were about the only media outlet that wasn't drooling over it.
Right.
Like I was more high on the trade than you were, I remember. You were on the Maverick side of things a little bit. Like this is, you know, obviously you didn't know what you knew now.
Well,
these guys
I said lose, and I said that, you know, the reason that you can't trust the health of AD and Kyrie, and then that unfortunately did happen.
But I'm just saying we were both a little more skeptical, and one of the reasons I was because they have no rim protector at all.
Yeah.
And Hayes doesn't even play. I don't know.
He starts and then he comes out.
What's going
for
on
like
there?
5 minutes.
That's weird. So, look, like I think this offseason, I know they're strapped for money, but this offseason, they got to figure out a big. I mean, even if you get it off the scrap heap, you got to get someone in there
anything
that can block shots and give you a little attitude. That's what they're missing. Luka refuses to play defense. LeBron's old, so he can give it to you in spurts at a high level, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
They don't have rim protection.
Yeah, it's all of that encompassing. The thing about this Lakers team is that we knew they weren't going to be a good defensive team. What we didn't know is that when we got into the playoffs, Luka was sick, but you know that he was going to have a poor playoff performance here or there. Yeah. That LeBron wasn't going to be, you know, Superman in the playoffs. We thought that he was going to, you know, take some time off during the regular season like he normally does at this age, and then really bring it on both ends. You know what I mean? And he's had some big games offensively, and he's been pretty locked in defensively. I have to give him credit for that, but it hasn't been too many games here in this series where he's put together both. We thought that we were going to get that out of him. We're going to see the desperation in him. If there's any team in the playoffs that I think can come back from 3-1,
really,
it is LeBron, just because I've seen him do it before.
Against this killer, though, that's my thing. But it's more Anthony. It's no knock against LeBron.
Right.
It's this kid, bro. Like, this is what he does. He lives for closeouts. Not to say Lakers might not win Game 5, but Anthony Edwards is going to bury them.
Game 5, going back to LA, is a big opportunity.
Big spot.
It's a big spot for them, especially because I think Luka's still probably, you know, a little sick from his ailment and stuff like that or whatever. So it's like, you got to go out. You have to punk in the first half, because if you let this get into a close game in the second half, I think that LeBron and Luka are going to try to take over in their city. You know what I'm saying? And then now it's just they're 1-1. And now we got to see what happens in Game 6 and all this other stuff, right? But I'm not saying I'm predicting a Lakers win. I think the series is done. I think it's over in 6 at this point. I said Lakers in 6 to start the series, but now I'm thinking more Timberwolves in 6.
Yeah, I think it might be over. I'm not going to lie. I think it might be over in 5. Like, I also think going back to Game 4, one thing I noticed, you know, and I'm not with the lazy narrative of LeBron's not clutch. That's been proven time and time again to be false. However, at the end of that game,
he was terrible, bro.
Take the shot, bro.
Yeah,
like he's even the last shot, I think Reeves shot it. Like, take the damn shot,
bro. And the thing about the thing about it was, like,
he had Anthony Edwards on him too.
No points in the fourth quarter of Game 4, and in Game 3, he had those possessions where he dropped the ball and didn't get back on defense.
I think he's old, bro. He
shot a ball off the corner of the backboard in the clutch. I was like, what's going on? Listen, he looks disinterested, honestly.
It's not that. I'm older, Tay. Trust me. I can't give you what I used to on a crazy weekend with the boys. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, at some point halfway through that weekend, I'm going to need a nap and some electrolytes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where 10 years, 15 years ago, it doesn't matter. That's what it is. Okay. It's Father Time, and it's undefeated. Now, him and Tom Brady both have kicked Father Time's arse, but you still lose the fight. Yeah. You understand what I mean? It's a 12-round bout.
100%. Look, before you move on, I just got to say, the fact that Jaden McDaniels had a season high in Game 1 and in Game 4, that just shows you how bad the Lakers are defensively.